Wow.
Well, welcome everybody to the question and answer period of Mad World. We're very fortunate to have today three of the filmmakers from the movie. I've got Lauri Levenfeld, Grace Wethor, and Angela Del Rey. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Phenomenal movie. I feel like I was in a room with where Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz get together with Alice in Wonderland, and they came on a jet plane somewhere with Peter, Paul, and Mary, and you have your movie.
Exactly.
Wonderful film. Tell us how the idea of Mad World come up. Who conjured that up?
So I can begin and then Grace can follow. But so Mad World is a product of being in quarantine and myself working with Nicole Sassaman, who is an celebrity interior designer in LA. But it was kind of a creative, process. We were really working on her brand and pivoting, just dealing with, all the kind of restrictions in COVID for her business. But she works really hard and wonderfully with partnerships with artists around the world and, creates these products. And so artists were our first concern about just really, supporting them in a really hard time for them because all of their galleries, exhibitions are gone and the opportunity to just show their work. So Mad World, the film, is actually 5 worlds that we created. It is kind of this portal situation of Alice in Wonderland-ish, where Nicole kind of cruises through these different lands and she has, meets up with these different characters. But it was also an opportunity for us to show the work of these artists and really formulate these worlds around the artist visions that we kind of collaborated on and brought to life. And then, it just spiraled from there. I got Grace on board and we just kind of rolled into our typical love of fantasy, very stylized worlds, fashion, and definitely like the modern day version of fairy tales.
Yeah, and each of the worlds has a word associated with them, which is kind of where we jumped off in the beginning. So our opening scene is Vogue, and we see this woman living in this penthouse and living this life, and then we move into iconic. And we love movies, and we think that old Hollywood's iconic, so we played with that aspect. Unbroken is another word where things literally break in the scene. And I've always wanted to do a mob scene, so we worked with that, and it was just so much fun because we had these words and we got to build literally beyond our wildest imagination, and then work with artists who literally created products that are placed in the world. There's handbags, there's art, everything is like done from scratch, and I think that's so fun, especially as fans of fantasy. That's like the ultimate dream, to literally be able to build whatever you want. So it was an incredible film to work on, and very, very glad to be here today and see how it all turned out.
Yeah, I was going to say on that note, it was really incredible because I do have a platform called the Project for Women, and that's how I originally met Grace, through the Project for Girls. And I'm a big advocate of women in general, just coming from a cinematography background and not having any women around me for a very long time in my career. We really wanted to establish this as a, kind of a women's team. For the most part, we have great guys on it as well, but 16 out of 20 people. And we brought even in some of the Project for Girls who have their own audiences and are doing super well in different, mediums like on Disney, American Idol, etc. But songwriters that did original songs for each world. So it's definitely, every little item was kind of, finessed into, and it was totally original.
Wow.
The whole soundtrack is original. Yeah. Everything you hear is either written by these girls.
Oh, original. Wow. Beautiful soundtrack. That's a whole another character in the movie. Your music is just like builds, and it's like another whole movie within a movie, if that's possible.
Yeah, that's true.
Angela, how did you come to this madness with these ladies?
So I've been working with Lauri for over a year now. I do a lot of her logistical business side of things. So I was basically on the back end of this, kind of making sure everything we did was by the book and according to SAG rules and according to COVID compliance.
Oh, wow.
And so that was kind of my role throughout the film, as well as I was the assistant wardrobe stylist. So I wore many hats throughout this film.
Yeah,
You did
the styling was a fun part, but she was really, truly the most important part of this film because we were, diving into the COVID era, and it was really, ultimate to just have everyone on set very safe feeling and just, secure.
Right. So you're the COVID compliance officer, which is
Yes.
horrible, but then you had to also deal SAG rules. Typically SAG rules, you got to deal with those too, on compliance. So you were the double threat. Plus you had to wear a lot of hats to make sure everything worked too. Wow, everything.
Yes.
And you
did
all
was
this stuff.
basically the location manager, the AD, the only PA. It was really like, when I say I wore all the hats, I really did.
You really did.
So, on the back end, I kind of just helped to make sure that we did everything correctly and that everyone was safe. And, we did it pretty quickly. We did it in 3 days. So it was a very interesting
3-day shoot.
experience. Yeah, 3-day shoot.
That's one of the things with COVID, and filming in COVID is that you can't have that many people on set. So everyone has to have and wear many, many hats. You're not just writing, you're doing directing and writing. And you're not just,
Exactly. Everybody's got to work for the team there. Your casting was amazing, and you assembled a wonderful array of talent. How did you guys go about acquiring all those people to come in and work on your film?
This part was fun for me because I casted my friends, which is like the dream. I mean, I see people like Adam Sandler do that, and I was always like, that's what I want to do when I grow up. And so we got to literally handpick people that we knew would do an incredible job in this film. And the script wasn't even done when we were casting these people because we were moving so quickly. So we got to literally tailor the characters and tailor the script to the girls. And I think that was such
Nice.
it's a totally backwards process, but for us, it worked so well. And we got to cast these girls in roles that they wouldn't usually get to be in. I know Tiffany mentioned in the other panel, she's like, when I heard that I was playing a mob person, she was like, I would never go out for this. And for us, that was really fun because we got to write with them in mind. And I think the words that come out of people's mouths are a lot more authentic when it's done that way. It's not possible to do that on every production. But yeah, we got to cast people that we knew would do wonderful, and it worked out great. So it was a lot of fun.
Well, you've got some talented friends, so
yeah,
that's great.
Really
I love that. You can bring your friends and make a movie like this. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, they're all have very strong backgrounds in television, and a lot of them were on Disney Channel and Nickelodeon. So yeah, I was definitely surrounded by a talented bunch and knew I eventually wanted to work with all of them in some capacity. So it was great to be able to do it during COVID, to get people like Lilimar, who's on Nickelodeon shows full time. It wouldn't have been realistic to make a film with this caliber of actors unless we were in COVID. So we got very lucky to be able to get a crew of people who are major working actors and get them in on our film. So it worked out perfectly, timing wise.
So COVID kind of helped put this together.
Yes.
Wow.
Definitely, especially the fact that we were able to get our sound mixer was kind of incredible. I mean, he told us like normally he wouldn't have the time to be able to do such a small project like this. And, because of COVID, short on jobs, he was very willing and able to help us, which really was a huge, huge thing for us to get him on board. He's an incredible sound mixer. He's worked for like Happy Madison, Sony, any major production company you can think of, he's worked for. So we got really lucky there.
I love it that, during people are going to look back, what you do. What people look back in the summer of 2020, what did you do during your summer of 2020? A lot of people just kind of, spent time at the beach or been watching TV. You guys made art, which was perfect. So you guys really turned the proverbial lemon into lemonade, which is great. Now, okay, so you shot this in 3 days, and all these ladies in the house, all you people going, all the creativity. What there's something? What craziness? What's the craziest thing that happened on set when you guys were filming during COVID with all these people?
Well, I think one of the funniest situations was because we had 3 days to film, and each day was one location, and we had very strict, tight schedules because of what we had to do with COVID. We didn't know this ahead of time. We definitely were like, oh, we might have done this a little different, but however, I don't know that Grace and I really would have done it different. But, we decided we are going to have, these different locations and these different casts. And so when you do that in COVID, you basically have to test every single crew member every single day. And the cast that comes in has to be tested. And it's this whole thing where it's like you have 3 days of a window. It has to be rapid tested, or you have to do what we had to do is in-house testing with a virtual doctor. And it had to be like sent to Texas, and which was crazy because we actually had to wait for the answer to whether or not people would be able to show up on set until 8 o'clock in the morning, and we'd be going on set at 9. But in this one particular day, which was on Monday, we had two locations, the plane and also my house, this theater. And so in between, we had new cast coming in and our old cast doing their testing, and new casts are coming in, and the crew all in my kitchen, meeting with a virtual doctor on their own devices. But one of the doctors ended up being very cute for the girls. And so
I'm sorry, what was that?
One of the doctors on the virtual, which kind of became a thing, was that he was pretty cute. He was young.
Cute doc. Okay. Okay.
And
Gotcha.
So,
we'll go with that.
So you're basically, it was hilarious because we were like around this kitchen, and one of the things you have to do, which is hard when you're working because you're like a little bit dehydrated. We didn't have any time to like sit around like drinking water. We had to spit in a cup, but you have to spit in a cup and it has to actually like fill the cup. It takes like an hour. We're like,
how big was the cup?
And then there's a cute doctor, and then you're looking at all these people you're supposed to be professional with, and you're spitting in a cup. It was really lovely. It brought us together very tight.
You got fellow artists, a cute doctor, but wow, you got all your fellow actors, a cute doctor, and you have the spit. That is sexy, I guess, huh?
On day one.
Yeah, we literally like just met each other too.
Yep. Wow. But once you spit together, then everything else is easy. It's probably the film.
That's funny.
Okay. Hey, what's your newest, everybody's project? What are you working on now? What's coming up?
Okay, well, I'll take it first. I am working on another sort of like fable / fantasy movie. It's going to have some animation and choreographed dance, but it's a feature. And it's really a personal story that I've been writing for, 5 years. And now actually just doing the production of Mad World really spearheaded me to get my act together and get this thing done. But it's situated in Japan, and it's on a train from Shibuya to Tokyo to Kyoto. And it's kind of a witch in a wardrobe story, coming of age fantasy. So it's really fun, but it's also really personal. And I guess, right now I'm just really, the challenge is just, making my personal story a universal story so that everyone can relate to it. It's interesting for sure. Learning a lot.
Awesome. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I hope we get there soon.
Yeah, with COVID.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be announced next week.
Good luck with that.
Yay.
Sorry. Hi.
Hi.
First for a second. So it's probably going to be announced next week, but for the Kapow people, I have a series coming out on Amazon Prime. And so that will be basically an extension of the book I wrote 3 years ago. It's like the next chapter, but in docuseries form. So that will be coming out on Amazon Prime, hopefully this spring. And then just writing. I'm writing a feature right now. It's almost done. So I think COVID has really inspired all of us to get back to writing and doing the things that we love, just to be creative and just to do it for the sake of doing it instead of thinking about like the final outcome. So just taking the time to be creative and writing, and it's really opened my mind to so many new stories. So it's a fun but crazy time at the exact same time. So yeah.
Wow. I love it. Wow. Amazon.
Yes.
Angela, what about you?
I just actually started kind of a new role at Lauri's agency as the project manager and fashion stylist. So that's really exciting. And I also, on my free time, I like to experience with web design and try to find different clients there.
Great. Awesome. Wow.
Mhm.
Ladies are staying busy.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, I'm gonna let you guys on a little secret, right? This is Capel Film Festival, and we have a carport or a garage here at Capel that we have the DeLorean in. And this is honest. The DeLorean is a time travel machine, like it back to the future. So if I'm going to take you for a trip, if you can go back to any time in movie history and work with on any film set or any actor or actress or director that you want to, who would you go visit?
Wow. Okay.
Well,
I have three. I can't narrow it down. I can't. I'm sorry. Okay, really quickly. I would go back to one of my most spiritual and kind of touching scenes is Ang Lee, Life of Pi, where the tiger is in the boat under the Milky Way sky of stars. I would be on that boat for sure. With Ang Lee, listening to his direction, for sure, 100%. And that is definitely correlated with the work that I'm doing now. And then I just have to say, because it's very much a part of Mad World, is that one of my favorite opening scenes of all times is Guy Ritchie Snatch. So the bank robbery with the Hasidic Jews. And I don't know, maybe I'd be in that little scene, like, but I love the name tags and the whole thing. And I guess this is very current. I have a million from before, but I think Babel still is one of the most incredible films. I guess because it also has like so many different stories within a story. And I just think that, I'm probably going to pronounce him wrong, but Inarritu, the director, is probably one of the most compassionate people in the world, just the way that he sees all people and listens to all people, and has, in that film, he recognized so many different cultures and so many lands and so many places, people that had never had a voice. So that just means the world to me as far as a filmmaker goes.
Well, such interesting choices. Wow. Okay, we can take it. The genie gives you 3 wishes. We'll give you 3 different trips, so you get all 3.
Yep. Thanks.
Who's next?
I guess my DeLorean's not going back very far. Just a year. My time machine's going back to 2019. I would love to jump into the brain of Ari Aster in Midsommar. I mean, the process of writing, I want to be there. I want to be in his brain if that is a possibility. I don't know how far this time machine can go.
Whatever you want.
So there we go. And then also just to be on set, I think it's so beautiful. And I think to have been able to feel the energy while they were filming, because it is such a colorful and bright set design. Yeah, I think that would be a fascinating film to kind of study and watch from the sidelines. So, yeah.
Wow. So Lauri's gone all over the different planes in life and stuff. Grace is going back just a little bit. Angela, what about you?
I would definitely have to go back to the Titanic. That's always been one of my favorite films. I think it's a really powerful story. And I would go back to the scene where Rose did not pull Jack onto the door with her because we all know there was room. So that would have to be my choice. I was lucky enough, I think it was about like 6 years or something, they brought it back into theaters. So I actually did go see the full, like, 3.5 hours in theaters, like 6 years ago.
Awesome.
So that was exciting.
Wow. Great answers, ladies. You are all three delightful. Thank you for being a part of Kapow. Thank you for bringing the mad world to our world. So much. Thank you so much.
Thank
you for
you.
having us.
Wonderful. Such great honor.
Wow.